Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So I've done a whole whack ton of sky since last time, and we've finally reached the edge of the pillar on the right hand side of the wall there, the curved part. So yeah, these big blocks of color zipped by. I still have a fair amount below this of still sky since it curves that way. So yeah, I did almost 900 stitches yesterday, so I had to force myself to stop and take breaks so I didn't overdo it, because that would have been very easy to do by accident. Okay. So I'm just gonna hug this edge here, as usual. So, skies are a little clearer here today, although they are still a bit hazy. But we had a lot of rain in the last few days, so hopefully that's helped clean the air a bit and control the fires. Yeah, we got a bit of wind today, but you will not hear my vent cover flapping around because I actually had to tape it shut because a bird kept trying to go in and live in there. Oh, it was in my kitchen, so, you know, I could hear this chirping and it was really loud. I was thinking, how is this bird so loud? Is it inside the roof? And I was walking around and realized it was louder in the kitchen. Yeah, the silly thing was in the vent. And so I chased it off. And after the third time, I realized, okay, this bird's not getting the hint. So I had to actually tape it closed so he couldn't get in. My husband says he's going to build a cage to go around it so that it can't go in there, but we can have it open for the air circulation. But yeah, it was not happy with me. It was in a nearby tree all scolding me while I was taping it shut, or it went to find another spot. And then we had birds that were trying to sit right above our bedroom window. So we had to put some repellent there because, yeah, it's like, hey, we have 3 perfectly good trees in our backyard that you are welcome to nest in, but not right above our window when you're going to start singing at 3 a.m. That's not happening. So, yeah, I looked it up and I made some with vinegar and some peppermint and lemon essential oils because apparently they don't like those smells. Then just spray it there and they'll go elsewhere. So far, fingers crossed, it seems to be working. So, and of course, it's not toxic, so it won't hurt them or anything like that. So, yeah, because I don't want to harm them. I just don't want them nesting right outside my window. Oh. Oh, that one is not cooperating. My gosh. Oh dear, where'd I put my scissors? Oh, there. I forgot to put them within easy reach before I started stitching. I usually do. I have that as a sort of a checklist to get ready before I start filming, but I completely forgot today. My goodness. Even after trimming it, it still doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. Once again, my grid lines at the edge can kind of get a little wonky, so I have to pay attention to make sure I'm actually in the correct spot. It's one drawback of sewing them on versus drawing them on. Okay, right, I'm gonna do another thread because it's kind of scattered here. Oops. Yeah, so we have a bit of confetti up here, and then down further, down this diagonal is not so much because it's still sky. There we go. Highlight what I'm doing here. As these two colors blend together, it's almost like stripes. There we go. There. Getting more comfy here. One drawback with sewing on my grid lines, or a couple here, I accidentally got caught on my finger as I was moving the fabric around and I broke them. So, yeah, whoops. With the sulky thread, it is possible to do that. Oh, no. That counted as a long press. There, yeah. And it marked a parking mark there that I didn't actually do. That's okay. Gonna stitch it all anyway, and then it will be covered up. Yeah, I was gonna bake some banana bread today, but then I looked at the weather forecast. It's supposed to be pretty hot today, so yeah. And then tomorrow is supposed to be much cooler, so I'm gonna do it tomorrow instead. Yeah, try not to turn the oven on when it's super hot. Yeah, I was gonna make some oven fries for dinner, but I think I'll end up making mashed potatoes instead. I could try pan fries, but I'm not as good at those. Oh, pardon me. Oh. Yeah, got some corn on the cob because yum. It is summer. So there's a lot of that yellow color, but it's broken up by quite a few scattered stitches, so at least this gives me natural break points. So yeah, and then pretty soon we'll get into a little bit of flowers here. So those purple flowers. So that should add some more. Ooh, that doesn't look quite right. Did I pierce the fabric? Did it just get moved when I stitched around it? Let's try that again. That looks okay now. Yeah, it was just kind of skewed. I had to pull it back into place. Probably wasn't that big a deal since it was the bottom leg of the stitch. Yeah, and the top leg is really what shows more, but oh well. That's me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which I'm sure you've all noticed. Although not always, right? There's sometimes when I say, I made a mistake with that color, but it's so close, I'm gonna leave it. So it all depends. Yeah, so kiddo applied for his first job, which is just like, my gosh. Yeah, he's gonna try and find part-time or summer work. Pay for his fuel. For his vehicle, yeah. Let's get some experience, and some extra pocket money is always good. So, yeah. Just hard to believe. Oh, am I grabbing the right one? No, I'm not. Yeah, that was yellow. This should be gray. Yeah, I got a lot of threads parked here. Gotta be careful not to mix them up. All right, let's see how much of this color there is. Quite a bit, so I'm going to put that in my working tray. So my goal was to reach 30,000 end of this month. We're at 21,000, so I think that's doable, especially with the sky here. I've still got some big blocks of blue coming up as I move further down the diagonal here, so yeah. Like I said, that's why I was able to get so much done yesterday. Fortunately, my arms aren't burning or anything today, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, trying to separate these with just my fingers is a bit of a pain sometimes. Okay, so 3, 2, 2. Oh, goodness, pardon me. See. Split this up a bit so that I don't close in those T symbol stitches. Oh, look at that, silly me, going the wrong way. Yeah, I act as if I'd started in the lower left corner instead of the top right. I guess in the end it wouldn't have mattered. I am doing those stitches too, but oh well. Yeah, so should be a bit more interesting for the rest of this month. Now that we're moving into the pillar and the garden wall there, the purple flowers on it, yeah. Okay, then I'm gonna do these ones. Yeah, I'm excited for the new season of Outlander to start. I've read all the books, but yeah. Yeah, I found after a certain book in the series, it kind of got a little too drawn out for me. So that's one nice thing about the TV series is that they keep things storyline tightened up quite a bit. So, but still being pretty faithful to the book. So yeah, it's been enjoyable. And I think there's one more season after this one before it's done. So, okay. This is a bit of a carry, but I would have to pin stitch it quite a ways away from the edge so that it doesn't show. So I'm actually just did a sort of a tacking stitch there, pin stitch there to keep it taut, and then I'm going to just park it rather than, yeah, because I was doing a pin stitch here and then it's not very far. If I cut it and restarted it, that would use more thread in the long run. So that's why I chose to do that. Yeah, 6.92%. So probably not during this session, but I'm thinking that, yeah, I should hit 7% today. Because that's like 300 stitches, so yeah, that should be no problem. Alright, I'm definitely going to have more than one of this yellow thread here to keep from closing stuff in. Plus, I mean, it's quite a large area of this color, so I'm going to use up more than one thread anyway, so. I may jump around with this a little bit. Or I may do something out of order, we'll see. Yeah. Sometimes it's just too much trouble to try and keep from closing stuff in. So I do it like 99% of the time, but yeah, sometimes it's just, it would frustrate me too much, so. Okay, we need another new strand. 3047. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get another new skein out soon. My envelope's almost empty, and as you can see, there's almost 5,000 of this color still left in this pattern, so. That's gonna use up several more. Oh, I think this is a main color for this garden wall, so it gets used up quite a bit because the wall covers most of that upper right quadrant there, so. going, yeah, just back and forth, up and down along this edge here. Okay, I'm gonna work with the other yellow, yeah, so I'm gonna just zoom out and, yeah, there's quite a bit of this. Oh, there's actually some in the main peacock's tail feathers too, this color, so yeah. Yeah, somebody posted a picture of what baby peacocks look like, and they're like plain and brown. Brown and white, and yeah, definitely look way different when they're grown. Not what you'd expect the babies to look like from looking at the grown ones. Okay, there. Switch colors again. Yeah, I was pretty sure I remembered this thread as being not very long, so it's perfect for these two I've highlighted, and then we'll just tie it off. Yeah, hard to believe the school year is almost over, at least for us here. I know for some places the school year is already over. Yeah, they're August to May, and here we're September to June. Oh, there was a little bit left of this one, so I'll save it for a scattered confetti stitch later, I'm sure. With, yeah, 4,500, over 4,500 of this color, we're gonna get some of those eventually. So yeah, I usually don't cross as I go, but when the color runs in sort of one stitch wide sort of stripes or rivers, whatever you want to call them, yeah, I find crossing as I go does make it a little bit neater. When you're doing a section that's, pardon me, a few stitches wide, then I find that doing the bottom legs and then crossing over with the top legs is fine, but when it's one stitch wide, I did notice that it can look a little wonky. So for these ones, I cross as I go. So yeah, the back of my work is not perfectly consistent, but that's okay. I care more about how the front looks. Okay, yeah, this was the one. I have two threads here. That's not very long, actually, that one. Okay, so actually what I'm going to do is rather than, yeah, because this one here at the top is only long for a couple stitches, so I'm actually going to carry this longer thread here, whoops, up to the right, and I'm going to add a new thread for those 5 stitches down there. I think I could find a shorter piece. Do it that way. Then I didn't have to close anything in. So yeah, my threads travel all over the place. Some downwards, some upwards, some sideways. Just depends. yeah, and then we're gonna get into this purple flower here. You can see from just looking at the symbols right now, there's different colors. Oh, pardon me. Okay, so just everything's taking me into the moving horizontally across, then I'm going to start filling in and moving downwards. Oh, grabbing the wrong thread there, yeah. These are very close. Pale grays here, so I got to be careful. I grab the correct one. Now we want this other one. Whoops. If I can highlight it properly. Yeah, there we go. Okay, new colors. Okay, we're past 100. Okay, so this one I'm thinking, yeah, it's used a bit, not too much, but I think I'll put it in my tray for now. I have a few spaces open. I'll swap it out if I end up not enough room later. 36, 9, whoops. knocking stuff off my table there. Okay, so yeah, I can see sort of the yellows and stuff end right about here, so this may be where I do my breaking point and start filling in down the diagonal before I go further to the right. We shall see. Kind of figure it out as I go along. I plan a bit, but not too much. You can see my grid line ended up wonky here because it got kind of twisted around itself, but it was right at the edge, so I said good enough and left it that way. It still works. And eventually I'm gonna, cut and remove it, so. Nice bright pop of color here with that pink. Okay. Yeah, looking at the symbols, I think I can cut it off right about here and then fill it in. Like I say, I don't always strictly follow the diagonal. Just follow the colors in what makes sense to me at the time. Oh, goodness. There was a bee yesterday, kept trying to come in through my front window, kept knocking against the glass. It's like, come on, when are you going to figure out that you can't get through there? Oh, I think it was the same one, yeah. I guess if I closed my drapes, it would probably figure it out, but I wanted some sunlight, so. Yeah, I have a crafting lamp, but natural light is still my preferred source of light. Easier on the eyes. Like the lamp I got is supposed to be like simulating daylight, and I haven't got eye strain from it, but yeah, there's something about natural light that I think you can't quite replicate. winter, I definitely need to use the lamp because, yeah, we don't get enough hours of daylight to see what I'm doing properly, so. I think this is the last 2 stitches I'm gonna get with this one, yeah. Which actually works out just great because then I can carry that other thread upwards without closing anything in. Once, of course, I do the stitches that are between them. If you're familiar with my method, you'll know what I mean. There we are. Okay. Okay, just gonna 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, I have not parked this correctly. I can tell that right now. 4 from there and 5. There we go. Yeah, that's one thing I like with grid lines. I never have to count higher than 5. If it ends up being further, I just count from the other grid line. If people say you don't have to count higher than 10, but I find I don't have to count higher than 5 if I can see the grid lines from either side. Yeah, that seems like the perfect place to sort of make a break there. Fill in everything that's down and to the left of it. Okay. So just gonna check this other thread of this color I've got parked. Yeah, that's pretty long. Okay. Oh dear. This thread is just trying to knot up here. See if I can get it apart. Yes, perfect. Yeah, sometimes when you're pulling at a knot, it will pull it apart, and sometimes it'll tighten it up, and it can be hard to tell sometimes till you get to that point. By the time you've tightened it up, well, now it's too late. But this one, yeah. When I pulled it, it came apart, so that was nice. It was funny, so still playing Tears of the Kingdom, and yeah, making like machines is quite a big part of the game, which I wasn't expecting, making tractors and carts and even gliders. So yeah, my husband was doing one of the side quests where you have to take some musicians up to the Great Fairy. They play music, she comes out. Otherwise she won't come out and give you any, you know, power-ups or anything. But so my husband was putting the cart, because you have to pull a cart with one of your horses and they'll ride in the cart. Well, he accidentally put the wheels on backwards, which I totally didn't know you could do. But he put one set of the wheels on backwards, so when he tried to drive it, it was just spinning around in circles. So he had to take it apart. And so it was so funny because he was lazy to tell the non-player characters to, you know, climb out of the cart. So he just picked it up with the Link's hand power and just dumped everybody out. And they were kind of upset with you, but then once you actually finished the quest and got up to the Great Fairy Fountain, they were, oh, thank you so much for the ride. I'm like, oh, they're not even mad at you anymore for, you know, just dumping them out of the cart. Oh, yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, we saw sort of a preview video about it, but I didn't know that it was going to be such a big part of the game. Because in Breath of the Wild, if you bought an expansion pack, you could get Link a motorbike or a dirt bike or whatever, but it wasn't really necessary for a game. It was just kind of a bonus. But this one, building, yeah, machines is kind of necessary to pass a lot of the little puzzles and things. So, oops, right around that magnet. So yeah, it's been fun. I can't believe how big the game is now, because they have sort of the regular world, and then there's the basement underneath it area, and then there's a sky world too. So it's like 3 layers of a huge game. So yeah, it's definitely going to take us months to go through it all. I'm sure we'll miss some stuff because you always do. Yeah, so we ended up making kind of a straighter line here for now, but that's fine. It happens. So yeah, I could have kept going here to make it more of a slanted diagonal edge, but I don't feel like it. I figure I'm going to fill in to the bottom and then carry on from the top there. Yeah, I don't sort of stitch across the whole area at once generally, unless it's all one color. So you sort of have to make a breaking point at some point. So just sort of pick one that works. So yeah, like there's only 2 more of this stitch after I park it, but it would close in the stuff above it, so I'm going to end up parking it and getting back to it later. Like I said, got to make a break somewhere. So, yeah, you know, up to you. If you want to do those ones that are slightly out, you could totally do that. There's no one to stop you. It's your project, stitch it how you like. Sometimes my breaking point is determined by it's far enough across to hold my arm across the top of the fabric, so I stop so that it will be more comfortable for me to stitch once I move the frame. Yeah, I know some people prefer to stitch in columns too. So they're always sort of going straight down. Yeah, I kind of like being in I'm on a lot of Facebook cross-stitch groups, and watching all the different ways people stitch is really cool. Yeah, like I've said about the extreme cross-country where people do all of one color across the entire piece before switching to the next one. And yeah, that's not the way I'd stitch, but it is really cool to see. I said it almost seems like watching a picture sort of slowly come into focus. So yeah, like I said, it's not for me, but I like watching other people do it. It's pretty cool. I've seen people even do it when they have no grids on their fabric too, so they have to count really carefully. That would make me very nervous. I make enough mistakes with a grid that, yeah, I don't need to be tempting fate there. Okay. Adding some more of that color too. Let me break this up with the rose as well. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that for now. I will, of course, have to get to these threads eventually. Okay, so now I'm going to add a new thread for here. Yeah, I'm going to have a few. Like I said, there's quite a bit in this area, so I don't mind working with multiple threads at once because I would have to use multiples eventually anyway to do that many stitches. Oh, goodness. I hate when I do that. I had it all lined up and then I caught the loop with my other hand and pulled it right out. Yeah, that's irritating. Yeah, so getting back into some more bigger blocks here. Oh goodness, that's really uneven. Make sure there isn't a snarl on the back here. Yeah, sometimes they can get really uneven from one of the strands getting tangled, but no, I don't know, maybe when I made the loop start they were uneven. Sometimes that happens and I don't notice, so then of course it kind of stays that way. Oh, come on, are you gonna thread or not? I wonder if this needle is about done. Yeah, sometimes the eyes of the needles can start to get rough, and if they're shredding your thread, yeah, okay, I'm gonna set that one aside for now. Test it later. This thread is being really stubborn. Oh, geez, sorry about that. Hope that wasn't too loud for y'all. Flung my scissors on the floor by accident. Okay, get those back. All that, and then I'm just gonna unthread it again because it's not gonna get done till the next section till I do all the stuff above it, so oh well. Yeah, sometimes that just can't be helped. Yeah, so this color curves the opposite of direction of my diagonal, so I end up changing threads quite a lot. Sometimes I will decide to just sort of start to slant my work that way and follow the colors, and sometimes I won't. So even though it does kind of close things in a little bit, sometimes I do that to make the stitching just a little bit easier, so I don't have to change colors quite as often. But yeah, today I'll make the effort for now. Okay, let's see how long this piece is. I may stitch in both directions. Oh, let's see if I can get this out. There we go. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is do these 5 here, and then I'm going to go upwards and do those. Try not to stitch over my grid line because for one, it's easier to take out later, but I also find when I stitch over them, they can get pulled towards one side or the other, which makes them kind of wonky, and yeah, can make me mess up if I'm not paying attention. So all right, so now I'm going to do these the bottom up. That way I didn't have to add another thread or skip around and do things out of order. Yeah, I find with the horizontal ones, they don't get pulled out of alignment as much as the vertical ones for some reason, so yeah, it's weird, but I don't know, it must be from the way I form my stitches pulls it more one way than the other. Scroll down. No, there's nothing, nowhere to park this nearby, so just tie this off. Come on, there we go. When you're actually trying to split the fabric, it doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. Okay, so back over to the left again, back into some of the blue. So yeah, we kind of got colors going this way and colors coming this way, like a Y shape almost. Try and get that out without tangling. Yeah, I get tangles actually fairly rarely. You would think I'd get them a lot more often, but no, actually it seems to be okay. Oh, closing in on 200 done today. That's nice. There we go, past 200. Woohoo! Okay, I filled all that in just so that I could do this without closing anything in. So yeah, I had to fill in this whole area to the left of it just so I could do all these in a row. 1, 2, 3. Okay, back to the yellow. Okay, so when I finish this row, I'd have the option to park it either below or over to the section to the left, and I think that's what I'm going to do because this piece is still pretty long. If it was only long enough to do the 3 stitches sort of here afterwards, then I'd park it there. So yeah, one of the biggest factors in where I decide to park my thread depends on how long the thread is. Because yeah, if it was only long enough to do these 3, then I'd start a new one to the left of it and then park it there. But yeah, I think I'll be able to get another 20 or so stitches from this strand, so it just makes more sense to do that and use a smaller piece up for the 3 that are there. That means I can carry on with this instead of having to park it. Oh, pardon me. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to take a break soon. Stretch out a bit. But I might as well do these ones as well. Actually, I'm just gonna check if I recall correctly. Yeah, that should be long enough. They're both starting to run a little low. So I think put this piece of thread back on my thread card, mark that it's done, and yeah, I think I'm going to take a break there. Had a nice productive session today. So as usual, thanks so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here again another time. Right, thanks everyone. Bye.